I began the presentation Nothing for Free by saying, a boy acquires power as a young man by developing his capacities to master and be himself and demonstrate and express himself productively, purposefully, and passionately in the world. Becoming productive, purposeful, and passionate are born out of his purpose, a generally overlooked, neglected, but absolutely natural and necessary part of his becoming a young man. Your boy has a dream, at least one, most likely more than one. And on the surface, the dream, when he or anyone else is aware of it, will look like it comes from something in society or our culture. Below the surface, his dream comes from the invisible realm of his psyche, what the ancient Greeks referred to as his daemon, and the Romans as his genius. This is the individual form of an inherently unique, what they considered divine, nature that is present in every boy, the him that is unique and drives him forward into the future. His dream is directly connected to this inherently unique character, and his development, his growing into the man he was meant to be, fulfilling his mission and purpose in life, his destiny. It's not a straight path. Very few in life are. But still, it is his path, and his confidence, maturity, and power grow and gain strength through developing his dreams, the work and play of making them come true, the activity of knowing who he is and being who he is in the world. There's a chance he's not aware of his dream. An even greater chance you're not aware of his dream. And chances are, if you are aware, you don't take it seriously, which means that he'll hide it. It can get very complicated. When we view teenage boys as problems and wacko with testosterone and other common myths, we miss the deeper truth. He's a boy trying to become a young man, and as a young man, he wants and needs to accomplish something. And that something is his purpose, and the first sign of purpose is his dream. He'll fool us by playing the roles prescribed by the common myths about teenage boys. I've learned, really the boys have taught me, that they are masters, I mean absolute masters, at manipulating the myths grown-ups have about them, at deception and distraction, because they're afraid, due to lack of experience and lots of other reasons, to be aware of and talk openly about their dreams. So they unconsciously participate in denying they have them and act it out by being problem boys. So if you're thinking, my son no more has a purpose or dream than I'm ready to fly to the moon, he just wants to sit around and play video games or socialize or talk with his girlfriend or watch TV, yep, he's doing that. And no, there's more going on inside him, but he won't show it. He'll fulfill that attitude to his detriment and yours. What drives boys forward into their futures are their dreams, and what they regret the most is not living them, giving them a shot, going for them. You can imagine his sadness or regret as a grown man who felt he never had the opportunity to go after his dreams. All along, I'm telling you, your son is trying to grow into a young man. His young man is propelled forward into the future by this unique self, and it is this unique self that dreams of being something. It is truly his personal, internal motivation. When I was a school teacher, I'd hear my colleagues in the teacher's lounge talk all the time about how could they motivate the students. I thought to myself, a person is always motivated to do what he wants to do. You remember that boy who wanted to get to his old neighborhood to be with his friends? The boy I asked if he wanted pizza, would he and his friends find a way to get the pizza? Or if he wanted to get to a movie? His answer was, oh yeah, we always figure out a way. A person is always motivated to do what he wants to do. I explained the historic importance of initiation and rite of passage, and its absence in contemporary America. The whole course of male adolescence can be viewed as a rite of passage period, where he's propelled forward, facing challenges, ordeals, and adventures that transform him into the man he's meant to be. The internal pushing forward is his unique self, wanting to become, his internal motivation, and it is attached to his dreams of what he'd like to do, who he'd like to be, what makes him tick. And this process requires training, the active involvement of adults who know and understand the process, know how to engage with him as he pursues the path of making his dreams come true. Truly, what drives teenage boys nuts is feeling lost, confused, afraid, uncertain who they are, where they're going, and what they're going to be. And in the midst of major family battles and win-lose games, getting to his dream is darn near impossible, because a central role to the games is to distract from what is really important to him. Once you're shifting out of win-lose with him, once you're practicing managing your interior space, maintaining a comfortableness physically with him, speaking in a natural voice volume, tone and pitch, stating your position, your expectations, choices with the least amount of words, and you're operating where nothing is free, you'll be able to begin an exploration with him about his dreams. You're going to be different. He's going to be different. You're going to be more able to listen to him seriously. He's going to be more comfortable talking with you. So I'm going to put this together for you in some stories before laying out the parental practice of engaging in dream making. I once worked with a boy I met when he was about 15. He was a sophomore in high school. He was born with a physical disability and in special education. His grades were awful. After a confrontation in the spring IEP, his individual education program meeting, about all his lies and his grades being terrible, he became depressed, and his parents brought him to me. So we focused on issues regarding his grades and his schoolwork. He got lots of support, brilliance from me, and assured me and everyone else that he was doing great. So now it's the end of the first semester of his junior year. His grades came in awful, terrible. He came in for a session. He sat down, head down, looking thoroughly ashamed of himself and expecting a lecture or confrontation about his grades and his lying and the usual routine he would get from the grown-ups. I said, "What's it like to lie to the people you love the most?" And he looked up right at me, very surprised, and said, "Ted, I'm a very private person, and there are some things on my mind that I don't tell anyone." I said, "Go on." And he proceeded to tell me that he'd grown up in a very loving family. They'd provided for him and taken very good care of him, and he was afraid with his disability that he would never be able to do it for himself. He said, "I don't know if I'll be able to have a good job. I don't know if I'll be able to buy a house, have a family. Who's going to want to date me? Am I ever going to be able to have a girlfriend?" And he's crying, because this is what hurts and scares him, because this is what he dreams of for himself. I said, with tears in my eyes, "I understand. Let me help you so you can make those dreams come true." This story has all the elements I've described. A win-lose game, particularly what can I get away with? Master manipulating the grown-ups with deception and distraction. He needs help. He's lazy and irresponsible. A secret, hidden dream and a fear. There's always fear attached to the dream. Nothing scares us more than success. I'll tell you about another 15-year-old with poor grades. He's in my office kicking my tires. I don't need a counselor. I've had counselors before. So we chat about whether he liked counseling, if it helped him. And then I asked him what he dreamed of becoming, what he saw in his future. Did he want to go to college? And he said matter-of-factly he wanted to be an engineer and go to a certain technological college. I said, "You won't get in there with your grade point average." Then I said, "If I can help you so you can go to that college, would that be useful to you?" He said yes, and we were off and running. or a 13-year-old whose behavior was quite a challenge to his parents and was having run-ins with the other boys in his middle school. He said to me, "You want to know what I'm really interested in?" This was after avoiding the question for like 2 or 3 sessions. He said, "You really want to know? Aviation, planes, helicopters. But I won't be able to be successful because I'm nearsighted and I can't become a fighter pilot." I said, "Do you know there's a state-supported university in Michigan that has an aviation program where you can graduate in aviation technology, including having your pilot's license? I have a young friend who recently graduated from there." He said, "Really? I want to go there." The parental practice of engaging with your dragon in dream making has 4 elements. The first is identifying the dream. Next, developing the path. Third, traversing the path. And fourth, dream come true, new dream. The first step, identifying the dream, looking for signs, clues, and symbols. What does he like to do? Filmmaking, sport, drawing, painting, skateboarding? How does he use his time without grown-up interference? What's he genuinely interested in? What does he have talent and ability for? In conversations, I'll say, "What do you like to do? How do you spend your time? What would you like to have more of in your life? What do you dream of doing or becoming?" Stating the dream is next, so the dream is clear, can be described and talked about. I've already given examples of identifying the dream. Now, this is a good time to talk about video games briefly. Video games are entertainment, and entertainment is not development. The skills in video games have very questionable transferable power in the world. You can learn a lot from playing a video game, depending on the game, but you may not develop at all, even if you're learning information. The activities symbolize qualities he's dreaming of having. They act as symbols and metaphors for degrees of power, social skills, making a dream life he'd like to have. And tapping into, being able to talk with him about him dreaming of being like that in the world symbolically, having those qualities of power, character, attributes, and how to put them into a practical way in the real world calls to him. And it moves the conversation along in identifying the dream. I worked with a boy who was in middle school, and he fantasized himself as a mage, a man with magical powers. In the real world, he was a self-described nerd that girls paid no attention to, and he dreamed of having a girlfriend. I asked him how he could practice the qualities of being a mage at school to have girls pay more attention to him. He looked at me like I was nuts, saying, "Well, what am I going to do, enchant them?" And I laughed and said, "Maybe, but what are the characteristics of a mage?" So he thought about it and realized that as a mage in the game he played, he used his wits and cleverness to accomplish his goals. So he set himself on the path of being clever and witty at school. Lo and behold, girls paid attention to him. The second step is developing the path, and developing the path means having a roadmap for making the dream come true. The first thing is the end point, the dream fulfilled. The next is the starting point, where he is now, and then it's creating the in-between steps, doing it one step at a time, each step following the previous one, allowing for adapting and adjusting along the pathway. So the 15-year-old wants to be an engineer. His endpoint are where his grades need to be to get up to the GPA he needs. His beginning is where his grades are right now, and then it's figuring out what does he need to do in each class to move his grades along to get to the goal. The third step is traversing the path. As he walks the path, you're going to review the progress. He's going to face challenges, obstacles, and resistance. I guarantee it's going to happen. So what's called for here is facing those things head on and using problem solving and skill building to get through them. So with this 15-year-old boy, every week he reviewed his scorecards. His scorecards were what were his actual grades in each class as of that day. And as he ran into trouble in classes, we'd figure out how to solve the problem, identifying the skills he needed to use to move further along the path. Your boy's going to slip off the path. There'll be confrontation. There'll be reassessment. Like with this 15-year-old, when a grade didn't come in as was expected, I'd ask what went wrong or what didn't happen. All with the same relationship and speaking skills you've learned, helping him to be accountable to himself, to come face to face with the truth that was hard for him, to face his own challenges and his own limitations by using his own motivation, including asking, do you want to keep this goal or change it? I would ask him that. He'd say, keep it. The fourth and final step is the dream come true and building a new dream. The path leads to fulfilling the dream or a new dream. In some cases, the boy changes his mind. What happened with this 15-year-old is he graduated with a 3.1 or a 3.2 GPA and was accepted to the engineering college he wanted to attend. Now, through this entire process, your role as parents uses two balanced elements: blessing and order. Blessing is recognition that he will have a dream, engaging him to identify it, recognizing, blessing, supporting the dream, and being a pillar of belief. Praise for him with I statements from I see your, and you acknowledge what he's doing, validating when he's accomplished something, and acceptance that he will make his way moving forward, sliding backwards and slipping sideways, that it's his dream. Incorporation is the dream's accomplished. He demonstrates a new level of power, and that level of power is incorporated into the family. He deserves more freedom for himself, has a more responsible role in the family. The second element for parents is order. And order is how you work together traversing the path of dream making. You may be a resource for opportunities for him, whatever can be provided within the home, or whatever can be provided from outside of the home, especially men who are already living the dream, so he can have contact with them and see how they do it. You may also be a resource for confrontation and reassessment, for him learning to be accountable, or for reflection and reevaluation. His job is to fully participate in the process, earning his way, making the dream come true. So in the example of the 15-year-old boy who wanted to become an engineer, he developed his dream path with me. His parents were not part of the process. However, as his grades improved and his dream was coming true, they witnessed a change in his behavior at home. For example, his father gave him a fairly large task to do. Instead of procrastinating, which was his usual MO, he worked on it diligently each day for over 3 weeks until the task was done. And then finally, when he was accepted to the tech college and graduated high school, his parents acknowledged and welcomed his success. Building your son's life through dream making, purpose, and mission is an ongoing rite of passage initiation into young manhood. The boy moves out of his conventional comfort zone by the call from inside of him to make his dream come true. He crosses this threshold and ventures into unknown territory to meet the challenges inherent in making his dream come true. It requires discipline of him, and he must accept training from those more skilled than he. He faces accomplishment, adversity, and disappointment until he completes his task. He returns to his family and community, recognized and accepted as a young man with a contribution to make to society. A man's fulfillment in his lifetime is living his mission, his purpose, the path he was born for, and learning as a teenager, becoming a young man, how to make dreams come true prepares him for adult manhood, to be a productive, passionate, purposeful man in the world, giving his gifts to family, friends, work, and society, in a life of fulfillment, satisfaction, and joy. It's a great and powerful love that reaches through the chaos and confusion of conflict, holds steady and true to its own self, and touches the heart of a boy becoming a young man, engages in his dream-making, a love that flourishes and lasts a lifetime. You have that love. Its potential rests in each of us, waiting to be called forth by believing in it and practicing it.